I gotta warn you guys. I just spent the last 3 hours playing video games, getting drunk. I'm coming in hot as fuck on here. I'm gonna try to shut up. But whatever.
Good. We'll catch up.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Don't take me.
That's how you know when someone's drunk, when they say, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. I think that's the only time I ever say that. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
That's what I'm saying.
Said that for filler.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. That's my new philosophy that I can. What's up, buddy?
Episode 73.
Here we go.
I just did the math earlier and realized we do 4 fucking podcasts a week for $5 goddamn dollars a month. You motherfuckers are getting a deal, man.
Yeah, we're stupid.
We are?
Yeah. Moron.
And he's like, we're doing a podcast?
The other motherfucker.
Let's let Chad talk this one.
Oh, you don't want that, Andy. We'll lose subs.
Yeah, so I'm still on the phone.
Oh no!
But it's getting fixed. It need well, and the hard drive had a problem, but I'm getting a new one for $300.
A new hard drive for $300?
Yeah, and it's a good place. They've done shit for me before, so
probably
today
could have got a better computer for $300, Andy. I hate to be the drunk guy to fucking tell you that.
Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hey, that does make sense, Erickson.
Even not drunk.
It works.
I'm gonna have to fucking hold this.
Andy, are you on a pogo stick? What's going on?
The screen keeps cutting out when I have it side fire, and I have a fire going with my incense. But I'm holding it now because it keeps shutting the camera off, or it keeps shutting my picture off. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to fucking work this on the fly because this is gonna be very fucking tedious. But so where my neighbors throw their shit down a couple houses away, the dog was up there, and I hustled over there. There was a fucking baked potato, half eaten, thrown down the hill.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, but get this though, there was let's see, it's an Amazon Fire, like a tablet.
What?
Yeah,
Fire.
This.
They chucked it.
Yeah,
like a Kindle.
Yeah, a Kindle thing.
Amazon Fire Stick is a way to plug into your HDMI slot to watch movies and stuff.
Yeah, so it's it works. I got alcohol wipes, cleaned it up, and because I was already fuck these people. They're fucking litter bugs. They're fucking cheap beer they throw down. They're fucking reindeers and shit. Which
is all of their like information still on it? Like anything that denotes it as theirs? Because you could now load a bunch of child porn onto it and then just drop it off at the drop it off at the fucking Field County police station.
Before Erickson starts making these suggestions, I have to ask: when you say you found it by the baked potato, was it like on the passenger seat of their car, or like in the garbage with the baked potato?
It's like it's a deck on a slope, and anything that gets thrown over there just finds its way down into the driveway or on the embankment. So I'm picking the fucking food, making sure there's no more shit, and then I see this black flat thing, so I grab it up, clean it up, bring it home, erase the information that was on it, put my information on it, tried to get Skype on it, but I needed to do so. I almost got there. I almost had.
You would need a converter to plug that microphone, but you would probably be able to use the microphone on, like the condenser microphone on the Fire tablet.
Right. Yeah. So that was, and I haven't seen anyone even looking for it, but it's mine now.
How would you recognize someone looking for the tablet?
If I saw a fucking
Yeah, tablet.
like,
Tablet.
Someone
never-
raking leaves under their balcony where there's a half a potato.
yeah, like they would never be out there, and if they were, they would be looking for this thing that they lost. Goddamn
You know,
bees!
the last time somebody found a tablet on the side of a mountain, it was big, big news. So this
Yeah.
could be.
2 tablets, actually.
This could be. Maybe he didn't find the other one. There might be another one over there.
Whatever he makes it down the mountain with is going to be plenty for us, Eric. And we'll believe it.
It
We're
looks
I'm
like
in.
hiking.
I'm in.
100%.
I'd follow Andy across a desert.
Absolutely.
We have.
I have.
Get started and go. Wait, I didn't bring the charger. God damn it! Is there a charger store out here?
You didn't bring your charger and you didn't charge your phone?
That was one of the things I tweeted or I texted in the message.
I know it.
Cliffhangers for this podcast.
That's why I charged it, just to throw a wrench at your suggestion.
And then what happened?
And I charged it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Charged, yeah. But this whole thing, the setup's kind of fucked. And these bees, I fucking killed these motherfuckers last night. And I fucking went, shit, you get that can of that shit, it shoots 70 feet, and I got right up there in the fucking hole. Blasted it, and they're back. They're back. They don't give a fuck.
Bees or wasps?
Yellow jackets.
The yellow jackets, yeah.
There's like 5 hives of them around here, and
mean
I'm killing them all.
Tomato, carrot, Chad. Really, there's no.
No. Bees we want to keep alive. Yellow jackets we want to murder. That's the significance.
Yeah.
But when I went elk hunting, there were yellow jackets everywhere, and I got stung several times, right in my eye. I drink my beer right in my tongue. It was.
Aren't they attracted to the corpse?
Yes.
The carcass.
We used to call them meat bees.
Sorry, different podcast.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, that's if the elk have a podcast.
I've never heard,
which I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I'd never heard the meat bee thing. I was biking with my brother and a nephew on one of our shit fucking trips. It ended poorly, but we were sitting around and Dylan was saying, or David was saying, watch out for the meat bees. And he goes, what are meat bees? And he goes, well, there's one right on your sandwich you're about to bite. And then he threw it down. It was a Spam sandwich and he threw it down. And then my brother just rinsed it off and gave it back to him. And, I thought it was a bummer. I wouldn't have fucking eaten it, It wasn't like he was a little kid either.
Because a bee touched it?
Did the bee shit on it?
Thrown down on the ground too.
Well, I mean, at that point, but before you threw it on the ground.
Well, yeah, but that was the point where my brother just picked it up, poured some bottled water on it, and gave it back to him.
When I drink a beer with a meat bee in it and it stung me on the tongue, I spit the meat bee out and finished my beer. Fuck that kid. He should eat a Spam sandwich.
Eat your sandwich. That's the problem with the kids today. They're not eating enough soggy meat bee sandwiches. Yeah.
It's a fucking tough world, man. You got to eat whatever fucking shit is available now. No, not yet, but eventually. I still got right crispy treats. Not down to the end yet.
My wife brought home 3 more goldfish. What are they called? The koi fish that get real big in the pond. I can eat those later. We've got about 4 of them in there. So I think
those are meaty.
She's thinking long term.
Yeah.
Raccoons are attracted to those, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had any sort of problems. Well, I have dogs in my yard too, so I don't have problems with anything really in my yard. But one year I did have a red-eared slider, a big ass turtle.
Oh yeah,
a water turtle with like flippers. They're not even overland turtles. Showed up in my pond, and I'm like, well, where the fuck did you come from? And he stayed about 3 days and then split. And it was quite weird.
Did you see him split? I mean, how did you know? It seems like it would take him a long time to either arrive or leave. That you should be able to catch some of
the act.
Erickson, maybe you don't know, but I don't go outside a lot.
Okay, I guess not.
I'll spend hours and hours just in the house. I'm not outdoorsman.
I feel you, dude. I feel you.
So you never went and retrieved it. It's gone.
It was
near water.
It was a mystery because we're not near water anywhere, and there I don't know how it got here. If somebody has a pond also in their yard and it came over to my yard, weird.
I have a theory. Someone stole the turtle and used your koi pond as like a holding place till the heat died down. They came back and grabbed the turtle and split.
Erickson, I stay inside so much that is entirely possible. Somebody brought the turtle over and set it.
Someone's like, we can put it in this clearly abandoned koi pond.
That guy is just smoking weed on his couch. He'll never even know we're out here. How are we going to catch it? Bring a net. Your net 9 feet long. He won't even notice. Just
Plus,
fucking.
It's a fucking turtle. How hard could it be to catch?
Yeah, fuck them. You don't lead them as much. Yeah, so I got a new fucking device that I don't know how to use.
Excited about it.
I'm
excited. I don't know that there's that much you can. I mean, you'll be able to use it for social media and taking notes and shit, but it's not gonna.
Just look at it as you don't have to wear your readers when you look at your phone anymore.
There you go.
Now it's
like I said in community college, I'm not taking no fucking notes.
I was gonna say, Erickson, have you heard this podcast before? He's not a note taker.
I've seen his act. That story checks out.
Yeah.
Notes.
Actually,
write them down. They're not even fucking valid.
As an option to Andy's laptop dilemma from last week, I did look up. You could do this whole. You could do his end of the podcast could be done from an iPad. I mean, there's an adapter you could plug that microphone in if you don't want to use the microphone that's on the.
Listen, we went through this once. The microphone has got to have its own power source because that's why my iPad wouldn't work. I don't want to get all technical on the YouTube portion of the show.
I hate to shut both of you down. I hate to shut both of you down, but if you've noticed, Andy's microphone and camera are better on his phone. So I think the iPad would be fine using its own internal guts.
Yeah.
Well, this works.
True.
I mean, it's like fucking a little bit of freedom once it's working is I can swivel. I don't have to be like dreading the sun. Like, it's getting clear that tree, and then I'm just gonna sit here and have my fucking head get baked. I can move now.
And we both hear you and see you better.
So
yeah.
Well, I'll be back to the old system.
We're going back to the shitty system soon.
Yeah.
It's only going to cost me $300 plus labor to make this a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, I got that
Andy,
$300
Andy, what year was that computer that you're having rebuilt? I have to know. How long? I mean,
it'll be next.
No, I mean, how long ago did you get it? Never mind. I don't even
computer?
Want
I got the computer about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I only used it to take a little old lady porn out around the
only on Sundays.
I happen to know that 6 years of having a computer, the only value in it is skeet shooting at that point.
I got stickers on it.
Well, the stickers are more valuable than the guts, for sure.
Sentimental value counts for something.
Yeah, and then but it'll be good as new, is what I was told.
We'll see.
So it'll be as good as a 6-year-old computer.
With 4-year-old guts stuffed into it.
A 6-year-old computer is like 3 or 4 lifetimes in the generation of computer technology. It's insane.
I'm gonna scan in that those Playboys from the 70s in there.
Oh well, yeah. Well, that's good.
It'll be good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably get 4 or 5 of those centerfolds in there before you run out of RAM.
Yeah.
So I watched 2020 Last Seen Walking. Oh my God. What a fucking ripoff. Nick McGuffin, you poor bastard. You got fucked hard.
McGuffin.
Nick McGuffin. You poor bastard.
Yeah. And it looked like from his football number that he was like a fucking lineman or something.
He was a linebacker, I think. He was in the 50s, so he was a stud.
Well, they showed the picture. He was a handsome fella. You know that crackhead girl let him.
Hey,
he tried to fuck me. Yeah, because you let him finger you. Yeah, you know, that's rude.
He's a Coquille 9. that's genetically, you don't see too many that come out looking normal anymore. So I think he was a late implant.
Anyone from Coquille that can breathe with their mouth closed is instantly above a 7.
Yeah. So PhD.
Yeah.
And by the way, that fucking DA, honestly, is. I mean, I know you guys did this already, and it's all my fault for not seeing it when the homework was assigned. But holy fuck, is it just frustrating listening to that fucking fat tub of lard and injustice just go. It's nothing but bullshit coming out of his mouth.
All I kept imagining is how hard it would be to choke him to death with all that fucking fat. I want to do it, but I don't know if I can.
It would take all 4 of us, but we should.
Like circling a redwood.
Just put a 2x4 across his neck, and then we'll all just teeter-totter on it. I have good ideas.
Yeah. And that police chief is the one that came down to Tucson or whatever.
Oh no, he's in Cochise County.
Cochise County.
That's our.
Well, he's a piece of shit too. He's a fucking complicit garbage.
Yeah, it was like find an old file. Who's the suspects on it? And then the mother, that mother's like, oh hell, it was that boy because he's banging that other girl. But
well, and he was 18, fucking her 15-year-old daughter. I mean, I don't know.
Right, and in fact. I mean, when I was a senior, I dated younger.
Yeah.
There was a thing called a twerp dance, and I got asked out by a 15-year-old at the time, and I was him. I did the same.
That happened to a lot of us when we were younger. I definitely had
that used to be a thing. That used to be an acceptable thing. It's when we were growing up in the fucking 80s and 90s. That was the best thing that could happen to a freshman girl was have a senior boy ask her out on a fucking date. For sure she was going to do it. And everyone thought she had fucking hit the lottery. That's as good as you could do. And it's something that 1 year later is a felony.
Yeah. Here's the thing too. I was innocent in this is I got asked out by her to a twerp dance. So it's like a reverse.
Hey, Andy, what are you saying? A twerp?
It's like the girl asked the guy out. So
Sadie Hawkins dance.
Yeah, twerp.
Called asked an 18-year-old
out. They called it twerp in your town?
Yeah. Well, we had a gay 90s.
Wait, does it stand for something? You got to have more explanation than that. What the fuck does twerp mean?
That was just accepted language that I went with. Twerp dance. And I was the twerp. And
maybe it was when I was in the Army, we used to go hogging where we'd all throw in $20 and whoever brought home the fattest girl won the pot. Maybe that was what it was. They're trying to bring home the biggest twerp.
Well, maybe she picked the biggest weirdo that she could have picked.
But you were the senior though, weren't you, Andy?
Yeah, I was a senior, and she was like, she's a weird setup too.
So why are you the twerp?
Because I was dude.
I don't know. That makes sense.
I drove, but here was what was, like I didn't know what I was doing, and I was dating a chick, and I'd been groomed by a dude, and I fell back on what I'd learned from him. I took her to Sizzler, offered to
got her a tracksuit.
Andy, don't say you promised her a car.
Yeah. No, and then, but then we were forced to break up by her dad, who was then I snuck around.
Right-thinking man.
Yeah.
I still snuck around.
The adult in the room.
Yeah.
Like it was a big deal, and then she was banned from seeing me, and I still snuck around a minute, and then got shut down. Big trouble. And then I just went out with college chicks for a while.
Yeah.
Well,
Figured I'm in college.
Not as easy, but they're legal.
Right.
Yeah.
I had
college, but
we had a kid who grew up with my kids, just a young guy. He was like 18 or whatever, dating a girl in high school, and the mom knew about it, and everything was cool, until they broke up, and then she called the cops and told them that he had fucking been, and he went to fucking prison for 2 years and had to register as a sex offender, and in between all of this, he got hit by a car and became a traumatic brain injury fucking guy. So it's just sad. The whole thing is so sad because he can't even advocate for himself, as just a good guy. And he's a real good guy. So, super good guy. But, called me sir, my wife ma'am, whenever he would come over to the house, whenever they were kids. Just a real respectful kid. It's sad to see, man.
Like Eddie Haskell's.
Yeah. Well, he would have been if I didn't know him outside of that. You know what I mean? If you didn't do any more research, I would have been like, that motherfucker's shady. But I was the kind of dad who went to, I went to check out where my kids were partying. And I hung out. I was, one of the...
Chad was buying him beer, so he wanted to know where it was going.
I only bought them beer if they were at the house. And usually...
That's fair.
And I don't want to be miscategorized as a dad who bought his kids beer when I was actually a dad who had his kids sell 20 sacks so I could smoke weed for free. So don't fucking tell me.
This is just like when that troll was hammering you for things that weren't true. You're like, there are better reasons to hate me, sir.
Right.
You're not even hit the top 5.
You basically use giving minors alcohol as some sort of a timeshare presentation.
You just gotta stay here for 2 hours and listen to this.
Yeah, know what goes good with beer? Marijuana.
Kids were not that into alcohol, and if they were, they could go find it themselves. Because I'm not 100% behind kids drinking alcohol. But kids smoking weed, I'm more ambivalent about it.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
I was in high school, my senior year of high school, we had the post-prom party at my house, and with my parents' permission, my parents were there, and we had a keg of beer in the kitchen, and my mother called the town cop and told him that we were having the party and that if anybody drove away from our house, he should pull them over and arrest them. And then our one town cop sat at the end of our street in his car all night while all the kids in my school got shithouse drunk at my house and just passed out in the yard and shit. And it was fine. And all the other parents knew about it. And my mom was like, hey, everybody, we'd rather have them where we can see them so that we know what's going on. I mean,
Different
it's the kind
time,
of shit that today my mother would be fucking thrown in jail so fast and skewered on the
sued by every fucking parent on the fucking school board.
I can't tell you how many parties like that I went to.
I know.
It wasn't an isolated event. I went to a ton of those.
We had the same thing. My parents were at home. Just stay in the bedroom. You don't want to come out here.
Yeah.
I never had.
As long as nobody's driving.
I had those risky business parties when the folks were. My dad had to go to the VA hospital, and I had the weekend have a bunch of people over, and then shit would get smashed and fights. And
I did that once.
Just, eggs getting thrown around in the kitchen and shit.
They weren't Fabergé eggs like in risky business. They were actual eggs.
I had a more dumbed down redneck version of risky business where
salt of the earth.
A lot of people jumped on the couch and broke all the springs, and apparently somebody fucked in my mom's bed. I remember getting yelled at them for those two things is what I got in trouble for. I don't know. You can't watch everybody at the fucking house party. I don't know where they're fucking.
I fucked a lady girl from school. I fucked her in a friend's grandma's bed. It was all the fucking things, I didn't care about the sheets or anything. It's like, but there were fucking those things that you stick on your feet for things, like fuck. There's all kinds. Yeah, there was
slippers.
Yeah.
Wait, like Wait, hold on. What sort of grandma are you talking about? Slippers or like compression socks that are hooked up to a machine?
And bunion, fucking things that you'd stick on an old lady had fallen off an old lady in the bed, and then it's like, it's not a big deal here.
Things that had fallen off an old lady in bed.
Things that you stick on an old lady.
It's like a terrible Jeopardy category.
A helmet.
Romance or friendliness until it's way,
It's that pyramid game, Eric. Things that fell off an old lady. Things that.
I mean,
things smell like powder. I don't know.
Things you fuck when you're drunk. I don't know.
That's the problem
pass.
The problem with being molested is you get sexualized and then you don't understand any of it. I banged a girl at the fair in a fucking goat barn. What's up with that?
Andy, it's not because you're hypersexualized. Any boy in his teens would fuck next to a dumpster and sandwich at the same time if he could.
Yeah. Or on an old bed that stuff fell off of grandma on. That's not. It's just funny that you did it. There's nothing peculiar about it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of deal breakers as a teenager.
At the Coos County Fair, you won a ribbon. I didn't even get your name really, and I'm not even sure how we got to that business right away. And maybe you needed a father figure. I don't know.
What?
Those 4-H girls, man.
How old was this girl, Ed? Maybe don't tell us.
Here's what I tried to find her later because we hooked up, and then I went, made a run down the Midway, and then I tried to find her, but I was drunk and I didn't pay attention to where so it's like all them goat stalls look alike. So I kind of come out of the gate with,
oh man,
not as awkward a two-way as you could get. I had a goat cuckold and a blue ribbon. She did win a blue ribbon, so I wasn't slumming it with somebody.
So did you.
Yeah.
Yeah. By association, you did too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't split the prize money. I had to leave her to cruise chicks in the arts and crafts area. Hey, that's a nice Afghan you sewed with your grandma. Do you want to lay it down here? Stars in the Midway.
Oh shit!
Oh, God damn it!
Oh man, I do suck the beers down on this.
Oh, we're only a half hour in, Andy. Fucking pace yourself, God damn it!
I've switched to I'm a box wine drinker now that we're recording these at night instead of during the day. The Bloody Mary is just that's too much for nighttime.
Oh yeah,
I'm too old to handle it.
I'm already on my 9th vodka soda cranberry by the time we start. Now that we're doing 6 o'clock,
you're a champ.
Dude. Yeah.
As far as drunks that I've known, I would put Doug Stanhope and David Tell as 1 and 2 of guys who were professional, who could drink a lot and didn't show that they were that drunk. Deep into the evening. And then all of a sudden, you can tell. Then Attell got, they were champs for a long time. I don't know if anyone's carrying that torch. I doubt it. It's kind of a dirty generation.
Doug's he's still leading the pack, I think.
Yeah. I haven't hung out in a while, but the last time I saw, he was still the same as he ever was.
Yeah. All right. So he's the champ, and David Tell, due to health problems, had to calm down a little bit. But as far as keeping your shit together with the fucking round after rounds of drink, like sometimes Stanhope is amazingly sober for fucing is deep into the bottle.
Maybe it's just that you're even drunker than he is, so you're not picking up on a lot of the
drink. I'm a shitty drinker and a lightweight, and people think I drink a lot. No, I drink a little and I make a fool of myself.
There's a lot to be said for that, though, because some people don't show it. I when I was younger, would always get picked on. I'd wake up in the morning when I was in the Army. I'd wake up and I'd talk to my buddies and I'd be like, "Who the fuck drove home last night?" And they're like, "You drove home last night. You were the most."
Remember?
man, the last time I remember, we were at this club, and they go,
Yeah.
yeah, you drove us to 2 other clubs and then drove us home. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that shit.
You were flush with all that hogging money.
No, listen. Here's the beauty of Hagen, Brett
One
Erickson.
loss.
It's you go out the night with such confidence.
Yeah.
I lost every time. I always hooked up with the hottest chicks ever because I went out with full confidence that I was going to get laid that night. And there's something to be said for that, as misogynistic and horrible as it is.
Look, there's nothing wrong with bigger girls, so that's jump right in. I think that's a win. That's wins all the way around. It doesn't matter who gets the money. I think everybody's a winner, including the lovely lucky ladies.
I would spend my late afternoon at outside of a Lane Bryant, pay some compliments, maybe go and then hang out at a fucking early hour that is known for big servings.
When I was
Bottomless
doing all this,
Gulf shrimp.
when I was doing all this, it was in Alaska, where the ratio was, you had to be very inventive to pick up chicks in Fairbanks, Alaska back then, because the ratio was not good.
Or play guitar.
Well,
there you go.
You could do pick up. I have a 3 Musketeers in my glove compartment. Was a good one. That'll get you somebody out there right away.
There's some diabetes up in there. In honor of Wilford Brimley checking out a little early, but man,
cheers.
I learned when I
was still alive.
Alaska, that's where I learned the difference between standards and morals. Because I could either lower my standards and keep getting laid, or I could lower my morals and keep getting laid. And that was whenever you realized that a lot of the people in your unit in the military had married strippers from other bases trying to move out of their hometown. So you could fuck a lot of your buddies' wives that were still pretty hot. And you didn't have to lower your standards at all. Just your morals.
Yeah, you're right.
How I did it in college is we'd go to a bar in Medford, and there was a lot of fucking shitty conventions around there, and then I would lower my expectations and I'd get really drunk and look around the room until I saw somebody, lady, looking at me with lowered expectations.
It's like when 2 waves meet in the ocean.
Yeah.
That's just that perfect moment, Yeah,
it's like beautiful. It's like an old lady away on a convention, and the loser, fucking drunken college scumbag, and then it's like, hey, and then they would buy me drinks, even though I was already intoxicated. And then more than once I woke up in that motel room and they were gone. I think the Red Lions they referred to me as the early checkout guy. You can go ahead and clean that room. I saw the early checkout guy going with cougar up in there. I had a pretty good cougar hunting record there for a while. You go to this bar. It was called the Manhattan Rose in Medford, and it was just known for fucking old drunk ladies. That's why we'd go there. And then the Red Lion, we'd cruise them both, and it was both for not to meet a chick that we wanted to get to know. It's like fucking old ladies that might be slumming it. That was it. That was the demographic.
Oh shit!
I went back to the Manhattan Rose years later, and I didn't get laid this time neither. But it was renamed Ground Zero, and it was for a short minute. Me and Art Krug went there, and it was called Ground Zero. And there were all these. It was these fucking real intense energy, like fucking dudes with a headset, and they talk, talking to each other and shit, and going, and fucking, expected trouble.
Stockbrokers or what?
Yeah.
I'm not following, but
No, he's talking about security.
Yeah, like the manager's like, hey man, we got you if there's any trouble and shit, but they hadn't seen me before or anything, and I opened.
They didn't know what they were getting into.
Yeah. And I was an opener, so I was like trying my best, but they said one of the guys, a musclehead, come up and he goes, hey man, if you have any trouble with anybody in the audience, You just order a club soda and we'll kick their ass out of here. Like real tough guy. And,
so this was a red line. Wait, so was this a Tribble gig that you were doing? It's because he always had.
It was the room in Medford. It was it wasn't the Manhattan Rose. It was Ground Zero. I think it was a Donna Richards gig.
But I mean, when you went there when it was the Manhattan Rose, you said you went there to cruise for older chicks. But really, you were doing comedy there too?
No, it was a meat. It was a meat market back in those days.
Then you went back and you were doing
had a one-night comedy thing, and this was early on. This was like one of the early gigs, and this guy goes, "Hey man, and it's called Ground Zero, so it was destined for longevity." Yeah. And this guy said he would kick anybody's ass out if they gave me shit, and by all I had to do was say I'd like to order this guy a club soda.
I love that they think you need to make that like a secret point.
That was Dwight Slade's thing. He would always, and he was part of his act. He would talk about when things got rough. He would just ask, "Hey, can I get this guy a gin and tonic?" And that would be the way to get him kicked out of the room because he's never going to buy a drink for someone who's heckling him.
I worked with Dwight and less with Art, but Art remembered this because I wouldn't have. But I was like bombing, and I remember that. But, 10 or 15 minutes in, and there was a lot of disinterest and possibly some hostility. And I said, hey, where did that guy that looked like Zach go or whatever? I said something insulting. I go, where did that muscle head? Something like that. But I said, whatever the fucking, maybe it was Thor or, whatever it was. I think it was He-Man. Hey, He-Man, I'd like to order a club soda for the house. Our Truth said he doubled over laughing because he realized I was, saying throw the whole fucking out, but they didn't do it. And then a couple of terrorists ruined that bar's name forever.
So it was Ground Zero before 9/11?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Ground Zero like in '99.
Well, that's worse than naming your bar Ground Zero before 9/11 is like having your name be shortened to OJ, in the 80s and thinking that's fucking killer.
Yeah. Now it's called COVID-19 Sidewalk Cafe. I don't know. But it was weird being back in that space. And then it was just, it was like all those women who, didn't want anything to do with me or, it's like we used to, peruse around the room. There was like 3 of us and we'd peruse around and make our way and talk to them and get shut down and shit. Because we really didn't care. Like getting shut down by your aunt.
So it was like they kind of thought, even though they were shutting you down, they thought you were cute. It was kind of adorable. Like, you're complimenting an older lady. So it's like, it's like carding a lady that's old enough to go, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah. Like I heard a lot of, I'm old enough to be.
That was a pretty good impression of a woman, by the way.
That was pretty good.
I've been working on it all week. I was hoping to slide it in.
Was that
I thought it as a cougar. A cougar. That's what I would call that impression.
It's more like a grandma.
I bet
my grandma who'll fuck you at the bar.
Yeah. Hand job in the parking lot.
Hangs out at the Manhattan Rose.
Yeah.
It's grandma's night. Tuesday night's grandma's night. It's a Manhattan.
Yeah, well, my first trip to Anchorage, I went to a strip club and a lady who looked a lot like a frightening amount like my mother asked me if I wanted to get back. And I was like, this is no thank you.
You ain't got the time, lady. You don't have time for everything that would all entail.
Wait, Andy, if you, I'm guessing you probably didn't go to the Bush Company then. Did you go over to the like Mustangs or something?
I went it was that first trip was just shit. We got Ron Osborne. We went on radio and the Ron Osborne went back and forth with the DJ. So it's like, instead of promoting the show, the guy was like, if you want to go see these fucking assholes.
Yeah. Shanley, was that you?
These dick shirts. He said these shirts. So
Shaylee's like, now I remember meeting Andy.
yeah, then we went
I
back.
was on the radio there.
Went back the next day and did radio a second time to kind of ease the poison from that guy. Immediately after leaving, say, if you want to see an unfunny couple of comics, go see these two jerks. And
I was Bob Lester on KWell.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very threatened by people that are funny.
Well, I don't know what Ron Osborne bothered him with.
Maybe he just didn't like his face.
Zing.
Yeah. I think Ron Osborne became a self-help guru type. He does chanting.
They all do. They either get into motivational speaking and self-help classes, or they teach comedy.
Yeah, comedy
And
class.
either way, it's like, oh, God damn it. Couldn't you have just gone into sales? You know, it's the same thing. You don't have to ruin an art, and you can still get money by selling people on something. Just sell insurance. Don't sell how to do stand-up comedy. Yeah.
Is there a stand-up comedy self-defense course?
We're living it, buddy.
I've had motherfuckers, once at Harvey's Comedy Club, a guy came and they'd pack them in tight back in those days, all telemarketed, all ignorant, half of them from out of town, all like, oh, I won tickets, thing. And then, they're all jammed up there. And then this guy got stood up. And I talked to him because he's standing up, and I go, and he said he's going to come up there and kick my ass. And I said, good luck, man. It's hard to find your way up here on the stage. And then I said, by the time you get up here, I'll probably crack your head open with this mic stand. And
oh my God.
There was nobody paying attention in the room. But
Soda water.
Yeah, I was just talking to the guy, thinking, like, here's what it looks like, man. Because I'm club puts you like fucking stripper level up above a crowd, like you're fucking way up for no reason. But it's like, man, by the time that guy tore through the crowd and we turned sideways to get in there, I would have fucking, and I was honest about it because that was my plan. But it's like that, you got to check with management, or can I assault somebody, or what protection?
Is somebody going to intervene before I have to do this?
I think that's smart too, because in a court of law you can say, listen to the recording. I was clearly felt like I was about to be under attack, and I described what I would do in self-defense if it happened, and then it happened. You're perfectly within your rights, Your Honor.
Back of a room when the guy said something about shooting me, or if I ever been in a car. I got a lot of those. One time a guy.
You've probably been threatened with being shot on stage more than any other stand-up comedian alive.
One time this guy stood up when I was doing a bit about the Special Olympics, and he said his son had MS, and then I was like, I was trying to talk him down, but I go, I feel sorry for your kid. He's got a disease, and his dad's an alcoholic and can't even remember what disease. When you're, the guy had to be taken out, and then Kermit Apio, who's the nicest guy in the world, comes in, and this guy's crying or fighting and on his way out, going, "My son's got a disease," and Kermit's going, wants to hear his friend Andy go out do comedy, and I'm get a guy, it's like I don't mean to do it, but one time this guy stood up at a casino and he goes, "John McCain's a great American." And my point was that he was more, he called his wife a cunt, and Obama couldn't have done that. Right. Anyway, but this guy was ready to charge me, and then I was like, "Is there any security?" Was by, and I don't want to, it's like I don't want to do, like, it's nothing in anybody's act should be important enough to have some old vet charge him with violence in mind.
I think it's interestingly you're the most comedically likely to have this happen, but what you're talking about is what is now, in a hackneyed, cliched way, what the term triggered means. You would say something, a certain phrase or a certain thing about a topic that's just tangentially about what this person's about, but there would be something in there that would fucking set them off, and they're literally triggered. And now they're fucking screaming about John McCain and trying to find their pistol so they can take a couple of shots at you, as long as you don't move around on stage a lot.
It's like that old vaudeville thing where someone says Niagara Falls, slowly I turn, and it's like all you have to say is one thing, Niagara Falls, and the guy turns around and like insane. And you're right. They just look for any kind of connection to where they can get just
the movie
incensed.
It was that Telephone. It was that fucking Chuck Norris-esque dude before Chuck Norris. It always had the clumsy love scenes, but Telephone was a movie, and I think he said Rosewood or something, and then you go on a murder and spree.
That's Manchurian Candidate.
Manchurian Candidate. Yeah.
Yeah,
regardless, there's a thing in at these small like bar shows and shit like that where people are there, they're not exactly sure what they're going to see. A lot of times, even if it's Harvey's Comedy Club or something, they still come in. They don't go to comedy a lot. They got a coupon, so they showed up with the group, and they don't really have a thing, and then they hear something about the troops that is anything but support the troops, and they're immediately fucking livid and drunk and screaming at you.
Right. Yeah. You can't. Like one time at Harvey's, there was like 15 negative comment cards about me, and they were all written in the same handwriting.
Yeah.
And it was all about the same bit. And then Barry he goes, you got to clean up your act. We're getting a lot of complaints. And then I looked at him. I said, they're all written by the same person. And he goes, still, you're getting a lot of complaints. Like, well,
it's like American Idol. You can vote as many times as you like.
Yeah. Okay, show
I know
me
this guy. He drinks a lot. You're gonna have to straighten up.
Yeah, he's got a big bar tab.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't get a lot of complaints because I was a conformist, and I didn't have any trouble there until I worked with Douglas Stanhope. And then somebody in the kitchen, one of the kitchen guys goes, "Oh, you get to do what you want tonight. You're on an R-rated show." And I was like, "Really?" And then I went about,
and then the next thing that happened was the picture that's right behind Shaylee right now.
Yeah.
Right after Andy heard he could be on an R-rated show with this guy named Doug Stanhope, that picture was taken.
Jägermeister 2 to the balcony.
Yeah,
Keep coming to R-rated night.
I threw away my jacket. Said, a couple of bad things happened. Well, the fact that my friend Steve and his parents are almost old enough to be dead, so I won't use his last name, but Steve was the prison guard who had the pipe he cleaned out, and they gave me crack cocaine resins. So right. When I was working with Doug, things were cool the first couple nights, and then I got really into it. It's like, fuck yeah, I can pace around, dude, man. I didn't know I was smoking crack, and and this was how it was an unofficial record. He didn't have a clicker, but Larry, the manager at the time, goes, after I was done with this one show, he goes, I don't know who told you could use the F word. Features are never allowed to use the F word at Harvey's Comedy Club. And then he said, quite honestly, you used it more than anyone in the history of this comedy club. I was like flattered because I was only doing.
You get a teacher like when you eat the 72-ounce steak.
Yeah.
But when you're smoking crack, you let the language fly.
As you will, certainly. I apologize if I've been drinking too much. Is that the first time? When did you first meet Stanhope?
That was pretty much the first week. I met him briefly in Seattle like a week or two earlier. And then as fate would have it, we were together at Harvey's. And I remember when he went up after that record-setting show, Doug goes up there and he goes, Andy Andrus, it doesn't get any more colorful than that. He aside and gave me the spiel, but I do remember Larry was like he was a restaurant manager for years, and then he took over a comedy club, had no fucking interest or desire to be in that room. He thought he could run it like a banquet hall, and he had to deal with people like I didn't know
he had to deal with crack smoking feature acts.
I didn't even know I was going to be smoking crack. The whole night was a surprise.
I didn't know it for about a couple of years. I didn't know I was smoking crack. And I ran into him again. It was some really good weed is all I remembered. It made my throat all fucking...
So he just sprinkled it on the weed.
It makes me very
talkative. It was residue in a pipe.
Oh, all right. I missed that part of the story.
That's why he didn't know.
I got it.
It was hard. And I would jam it on. I would have a 2-hitter. So I thought I was being responsible. But man,
it was hash.
Yeah, I thought it was just hash or resin. So I was like,
Right.
I had at that time. So I was like, man, this dresses it up nice. And I was like, I don't know if there was 3 shows there on Saturday night at that time. I think there was. And I smoked crack before, in the middle, and before in the middle, and before in the middle on Saturday night. And I think that was the last time I worked at Harvey's. At some point, when the bar had emptied out, I went in there and I was just, how when you're on crack, you needed.
When you're on crack.
There's nobody there to pour that beer for you. You're like, fuck it. I let loose. And then I poured myself a beer, and then I got ratted out by several people because they were like, "Where'd you get the beer? Where'd you get the beer?" I was like, leave the crackhead alone. I just
Can't you see I'm cracking over here?
I just got away with smoking crack in the parking lot. Don't be passing me about drinking beer.
3 rape years of the Stanhope crowd that had no idea who Doug Stanhope was. So I did a public service situation there. I took a bullet for Doug. I smoked crack and I went at his crowd rough.
They treated everybody out. Got all the walkouts out of the way, did you?
No, they stick around there at Harvey's to get their 2-drink minimum out of the way.
They probably stick around there because there's crack.
Yeah. Well, imagine like doing a 3-show Saturday and just for some reason just being fucking in it, like you're in the moment, like you got this energy, like you're fucking pouring your own draft beers and you're fucking pacing the stage like Chris Rock and the thoughts are coming and all you've been doing is smoking weed out of that glass pipe in between the shows. And all of a sudden,
the talent taste.
Greatest comedian of all time. You're like, puffed chest, puffed out, like, I'm pretty fucking good. And then later you find out you were just on crack.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I had talent.
I ran into him years later and he goes, "Hey, don't tell my parents we smoke crack together."
What?
So why would I do that, man? And then he goes, when I was at the comedy club, we were smoking crack. I wish people would be more clear.
What I love is what kind of friend is Andy that his buddy has to set it up and like pre-interview and go like, now remember, we don't talk about stealing underpants and we don't talk about smoking crack.
Don't tell my parents we smoked that crack. Yeah, that goes without saying. I wasn't going to lead with it. I was going to ask more about how Uncle Phil was doing. I didn't expect that to just naturally worm its way in, but thanks for that.
He did end up naked on a couch in front of one of his friend's parents one night. So
yes, he was also
crazy zany situations. So maybe that guy was smart to say that.
Listen,
I guess he was the one who I did crack with for the first time, and then crank. So we did the seeds.
I love how naive Andy was. That Andy smoked crack and did not know it. I've been naive a lot of times in my life, but I knew every time I was smoking crack.
The way he just described it to me, I for sure would have not known either. I would have for sure not known. Yeah, it would never occur to me that a pipe is for smoking crack. I'm just a farm kid from the 80s. Like it would,
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, if I worked at a weed store, I'd say this is an overall body high. It's going to be crazy energy.
So, but what you should do
sativa. It's a little bit of an up high.
Yeah.
Might want to avoid talking to people who are responsible for your future.
Oh, fuck. You could just troll the neighborhoods and find crackheads and buy their old pipes off of them.
Yeah.
And then just smoke your weed out of it right before shows and then just fucking get a Netflix special.
Like a needle exchange. It looked like you're doing something good.
Go back to it. I liked it.
I like that Andy did a good job while smoking crack without knowing it. And then years later, when his new special is coming out, I'm gonna get a producer credit because I gave him cocaine just before he went on stage. I see a fucking theme happening here, Andy.
Yeah.
And then Sam Tripoli writes that garbage, that made up garbage about me in his book.
No, not Sam Tripoli. Sam Talent.
Sam Talent. Not Sam Tripoli.
Oh, I just got my Sam Talent book in the mail the other day. I have to get that and start cracking it.
It's been slow because they're breaking up the post office.
Yep.
Mine was supposed to be here like a week ago, and then I just got a thing saying it's going to be later. And can I even? Are they still going to be there? Are they going to get evicted?
Let's all read the book at the same time and then talk about it on the podcast.
Hey, I wonder who won't do it. Let's see.
If that happens again, I will for sure pretend like I did the homework and just go along with the teacher.
I wondered why you didn't do that. I wondered why you didn't do that because you were the one who assigned it as homework.
Yeah.
We all started talking about it. You go, no, let's all watch it together, and then we'll talk about it next time for sure. Yeah. And then the next time, I did not expect you to be like, I didn't watch that shit. I was watching Law and Order. I thought you would just play it.
And the most ironic part of it is that it was in the Dateline queue on our Hulu or 2020 queue on our Hulu. So like it's on the list to be watched, and I still didn't do it.
You know,
there was a high likelihood that I could have accidentally done the homework. There was actually a high likelihood of that, and even that didn't happen. So anyway, let's read the book together.
If it wasn't for this pandemic, I'd ask McCracken to go out to Branson, Missouri with us and cook some eggs up in the big Jim van.
You mean McGuffin?
McGuffin, yeah.
McCracken. Phil McCracken. Oh, it's Phil McCracken, Nick McGuffin.
God, I suck at things. I can't kill it.
I don't think so, dude. I think you have. I think, dude. I think you just have a really. Yeah, you just like Doug says, you have a very colorful way of punching up the script of reality.
Yeah.
I think Andy should get Stanhope to record an outro to his new special with that exact.
Doesn't get any more colorful than that. In fact, the only way it could ever get more colorful is if you came to the Issues with Andy episode 72, after party, which is what's coming up next, because that's what we're going to do. We're all going to make a drink. And for that, for me, that's just going to be reaching over here and pressing the tap on the box wine. But we're going to come back from over there and keep doing this.
Over here.
I'm stuck in a loop. I'm stuck in a loop right now. And
let's just go there now.
Yeah, we're gonna go there now. So if you'd
like to
sign up on our Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and we've talked constantly about how we're providing way too much entertainment for the dollar. So you're lucky if you do that. For the rest of you who aren't going to do that, that's okay too. We still love you, and we're glad you're here. And if you made it through an entire hour of this, I don't know what that says about you, but it does say something for sure. It says something about you, certainly. But we're glad that people like you are out there because we don't have anything better to do, the four of us. So we love you for being there. So Andy's Venmo, sometimes Shaylee puts that. Put Andy's Venmo up for a second, would you, Shaylee? There it is. There's Andy's Venmo. People sometimes want to know how to send Andy a little bit of extra cash so that he can spruce up his background.
Go crabbing.
And fight the fucking garbage monsters that live above him on the hill. And also Chad Shank right there has a Twitch channel. Now for you young kids, you know all about Twitch, but old people like us might not know that. It's what the gamers do. It's watching.
Shut that down. I hate it. I hate the whole thing. I don't want to do it anymore.
Let's keep plugging it then. Let's really get it popular so that right when you shut it down, it's at its peak. That's how you do things. There's subscribe right there. You can do it if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. You can do it. It doesn't even cost you anything. You get a free Twitch subscription with your Amazon Prime membership. So there you can do it that way if you want. And that's it, I guess. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and we'll see you next time.
Let's go.